Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the 4-Star Chicago Sports Podcast. The Bears come home reeling at 1-2, but they're back on the Lakefront versus a reeling 1-2 Rams team. Can the Bears get to 500? We're going to find out next. Hello again, everybody. Excuse me, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the 4-Star Chicago Sports Podcast. And it's Wednesday. What does that mean? It's time to turn the page. We're still talking a little bit about what happened in Indy last week, but let's focus on how we can beat the Rams in the Lakefront this Sunday. First off, the Bears and Rams have a long historic rivalry. They've met 96 times, including 2 postseason games, with the Rams winning 39 and the Bears winning 54. They've also tied 3 times. The Bears have lost 3 straight to this team. If everyone remembers the last time they played, it was Justin Fields' first rushing touchdown in the NFL. The Red Rifle was captaining the ship that day, and David Montgomery had 16 rushes for a $106 and a tutty. But they handled us. They kicked the crap out of the Bears, 34-13. Really quick before we get into this matchup, I just got to turn the clock back because my favorite memory when speaking of 2 postseasons was that 85 matchup. We're playing these guys that get to the Super Bowl. And the Bears are just dog walking these guys and kicking their ass. I think they had negative yards at halftime, and all of a sudden, after halftime, the snow starts falling, and it's just like a storybook, picture-perfect moment for Chicago sports, dude. It's an amazing memory. I mean, Eric Dickerson, if you actually read the book, and this is a quote from their head coach, John Robinson, he is quoted as saying, it's the only game in his career he went in knowing he had no chance to win. That is awesome that a head coach said that about our football team. Hopefully we can get back there one day. So, Kyle, I know a lot of people are thinking, maybe some people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, are thinking maybe this matchup's a little bit easy, for the Bears this week. I'm going to throw a couple stats out there really quick that are a little discerning. The Bears have failed to cover the spread in 11 of 13 games against teams that have held losing records. And the Rams have won 3 of their last 4 matchups as an underdog. Injuries are going to be a big factor in this game, and we're going to start off with that front because I just really wanted to get your thoughts because it looks like Darnell Wright has a real chance to miss this football game on Sunday, and that would leave us with what Coach Eberflus said earlier in his press conference, either maybe Matt Pryor at left tackle and Nate Davis at right guard or some semblance of. I'll tell you really quick, my one problem with Matt Pryor, and maybe it won't be a problem this week because the defensive ends on the Rams are not particularly great, but his speed getting out of his stance off the edge is a big knock on him being a right tackle or a left tackle in his career. What kind of detriment does this put on us to not have Mr. Wright on Sunday, Kyle?
I mean, for me personally, I understand Darnell Wright has not played to the best of his ability this year, but that would be absolute disastrous for the Chicago Bears. I mean, this offensive line is not good to begin with. You lose one of these guys who they consider one of their best 5. That's just not good news for them. I mean, I will say this, Sean, thank God they're not playing. This is not the Rams team from last year, and they're not playing Aaron Donald, man, because if he was on this team, I would chalk this up as a loss already. I mean, this would be guaranteed loss. But, the Rams drafted Braden Fisk, Jared Verse. They're both good players. They're going to end up being good players in the NFL for a long time. But right now, they're struggling. They have not been good this far at this point of the season. I think you said that Braden Fisk had like a 50 overall Pro Football Focus grade for stopping the run and getting after the passer.
Correct.
It's not good. But these guys are going to slowly come around. I think the Bears are going to have especially if Darnell Wright can play, they're going to look a little bit better on the offensive line this week just because the Rams defensive line is nothing that scares you. There's nothing special about them. And I do think that as the season comes along here, the Bears will get more cohesiveness, especially with Matt Pryor. This was his first start last week. The more these guys play together, the better it's going to look. But man, missing Darnell Wright would not be a good start to the week, Sean. It would not be a good start to the week.
No, as we get into this, we all had talked about the positives from last week at Indy, the second half more than the first half, because Caleb really struggled, but he seemed to learn and start to grasp things, a little bit more on the second half of that game. The Bears currently right now are averaging about 5.3 yards per pass attempt, which is the third fewest in the league. The Rams are currently allowing the most passing yards at 9.8. So this could really be an opportunity for Caleb Williams to continue where he finished off, finishing 15 of 19 for 133 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 130.9 quarterback rating in the final 17 minutes of that game. Seeing some of these numbers, and I'll run a couple more past you really quick. The total defense of the Rams is 31st ranked in the league. They are dead last against the pass and second to dead last against the run. This is an atrocious defense. Kyle, you touched on something in the pre-show that we definitely have to get to, because we spent a lot of time talking about Roschon Johnson up the middle. We need to get that to fix the run game. But Kyle did some research today, and he found out some very interesting stats about how to attack this Rams defense. And I want him to share this with you guys really fast as we go through this preview of the Rams and the Bears.
Yeah, so Sean, what I did is I looked at the Rams rush defense as a whole. And if you look at them against more traditional runs, I formation, that type of stuff, where the running backs are running in between the tackles and the guards, the Rams look pretty good. I mean, those teams running the ball against them look pretty pedestrian. It's anywhere from 3 to 4 to 5 yards a carry. Now, listen, 5 yards a carry is 2 rushes for a first down, so it's still not great. They're not one of the best rushing defenses in the NFL, but they are a lot better at stopping runs up the middle than they are stopping end arounds and stuff like that. When teams start to get creative and start to make plays around the outside, get guys in open space. Like, for instance, I think there was 2 or 3 end arounds they had last week against the Niners. I think the Niners ended up averaging like 7 yards a carry. When they played the Cardinals had a couple end arounds that they were averaging like 10 yards, 15 yards a carry. And then the quarterback design runs for Kyler Murray in particular, those all gained over 5 yards a carry as well. So, I mean, the way to attack this team, apparently, if you look back at the first 3 games of the season, would be on the edges, and that would be perfect for DeAndre Swift. This could actually be, I know we said this last week, guys, because the Indianapolis Colts did not have a good defensive line, but this could be a really good get right game for DeAndre Swift, because if you look at DeAndre Swift's runs this year, I saw something on Instagram earlier the day. They showed each one of his runs individually, and man, it's tough. It's like -12, -8, -6, -4, -4, -4, -2, -2, -1, -1, 0, 0, 0. And then the positive runs, there's like 8 of them. It's like 2, 4, 4, 8, 6, 12. I mean, it's not good, guys. It's not good. He's averaging 1.8 yards on the season. If I were the Bears, what I would do is same thing we talked about on Monday, what they should have done against the Colts, is use Roschon Johnson, try to pound out the ball up the middle as much as you can, wear those defensive linemen out a little bit, beat them up a little bit, get them calloused, and then you start getting DeAndre Swift in open space when the Rams start to focus on the center of the defensive line and try to stop Roschon Johnson right in the middle. Because you know what, guys, 3.8 yards per carry, what Roschon Johnson averaged last week against the Colts, is not great, but it's enough for the team to consider continue to try to stop the run. I mean, they have to commit to the run. If you can average 4 yards a carry, 3 carries is a first down, right? I mean, you have to stop. You can't let teams carry the ball for 4 yards to carry. They're going to try to commit to stopping the run, because I think ultimately every team this season is going to say to the Chicago Bears, hey, we're going to shut down the run and we're going to make Caleb Williams beat us through the air. I think at some point during the season, Caleb Williams will be able to do that. I think he's going to be able to do that at some point this season. And he's gotten better every game. And like you said, Sean, if you look at the second half of the game last week, Caleb Williams was phenomenal. He looked great. The second half of that game, I honestly believe that if Caleb Williams did not have that strip sack against the Colts, I think he walks down the field and wins that game. I don't think the Colts could stop him, but we'll never know, because he was sacked and the ball was stripped and the Bears ran out of time, essentially is what happened. But I do think that to start this game, pound the ball up the middle, and then once those linebackers start to play up a little bit, then you could start getting to the edges a little bit and get DeAndre Swift involved a little bit more.
Yeah, and for me, we're going to go up against one of the finest coaches in the game right now, in Sean McVay. he's going to recognize exactly what the Chicago Bears are going to do, and I honestly think this guy is going to be sliding that safety into the box. He's going to try and take this run away from the Bears as much as he can. He's going to try and force Caleb Williams to pass the ball. So the Bears are going to have to find a way to take that safety out or just run right through that guy and say, hey, you bring it, we're going to beat it. They have to figure out a way to do this. They got to establish the run. I want to see some play action in this game. I think that would be great. Now, I did listening to the score this morning on Mully and Haw, Brett Biggs dropped a crazy stat. Since 2015, he said, NFL teams are 23-141 when they pass 50 times in a non-overtime game. So similar to what we talked about on Monday was we want to see some balance out of this team. You don't want your quarterback dropping back 50 times. This is a great team to do that against, guys. This team right now is giving up 30 points a game. They're only averaging 19. That fits into the Bears because the Bears are actually giving up 19. That's going to tie into my score a little bit later on that I have for this football game. But going up again, my biggest fear is that McVay is still going to be able to outthink Eberflus in this game and find a way to just take away our strengths. and I really hope I'm wrong here. I really do hope I'm wrong. But I personally don't feel confident with, how should I say, a smarter, more well-rounded head coach on the other side against Eberflus. What are your thoughts on this guy being able to slide that safety into the box, test the Bears, say, hey, we know what you're going to do. We're going to take your strength away. How do you think the Bears combat that this week? Because they obviously had a problem with that last week against Indy, whose run defense statistics are very similar to the team we're playing this Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, the only way to combat that is to run the ball. I can't predict how much the Bears are going to run the ball. I can't predict if they're going to abandon the run in this game. They certainly did last week, and we talked before the game last week that the Bears, the key to success would be running the ball. Real quick, let me touch on the Brad Biggs comment there. I mean, you guys, there are some general rules of thumb in football that have always held true and probably always will. First of all, football is run in the trenches, guys. And the more push you get on your offensive defensive line, the better the chance you have to win the game. Also, whoever wins the turnover battle, for the most part, generally wins the game. And lastly, there's no reason any quarterback in the NFL should ever be throwing the ball 50 times. The reason being is because the more you throw the ball, the more you put the ball in harm's way. I mean, eventually you're going to have tip balls at the line of scrimmage, tip balls by cornerbacks, balls off receivers' hands. They're going to get popped up in the air and going to be intercepted. If you run the ball all game, they can't stop you. The only chance you have of losing the ball is the running back fumbling. So it's a lot less likely you're going to lose the game if you're able to establish a good run game and you can average 5, 6, 7, 8 yards a carry. Now, like to your point, Sean, the only way for the Bears to combat Sean McVay and his genius is to run the ball. You have to continue running the ball. Even if they average that Beasley 3.8 yards per carry they averaged last week with Roschon Johnson, that is enough to continue to run the ball. Listen, there's going to, unfortunately for the Bears, with 3.8 yards per carry, there's probably going to be some 3 and outs, but that's okay, guys. It's okay. Every once in a while, you're going to have some 3 and outs. That happens. Every team in the NFL has a 3 and out almost every week, unless apparently you're the Washington Commanders for the last 3 weeks. But if you look at the Rams on paper this year, and I've dove deep into both the Bears and the Rams and their statistics this year. You guys, the Rams are a very pedestrian team. I'm so glad you brought up Sean McVay, Sean, because if it wasn't for Sean McVay, this team would be 0-3. I mean, it's not a good team. I mean, and part of that is due in fact to the part that, like Sean, you always call them a mash unit, if you will. Yep. This team is banged up. I mean, they came into the season without Tyler Higbee. He's probably their best tight end. I mean, I don't know if anybody else on the team is better than him. They no longer have Cooper Kupp, and they no longer have Puka Nacua. Those are probably their 3 best pass catchers. It's not good for the Rams, and it's not good against defense like the Chicago Bears. Now, I've heard a lot of people this week saying, well, the Rams beat the 49ers last week. You guys, the 49ers are not the mighty 49ers anymore. Not to this point right now. They're not. They have not been good this season. Actually, if you look at the 49ers, they are ranked statistically in the bottom 10, and I think both passing and rushing defense. They have not been good this year. Their defensive coordinator last year was Steve Wilkes and was holding opponents to 17 points per game allowed. Now they went and fired him and decided to bring in this Nick Sorensen guy, and now the Niners are giving up 24 points per game. So it was not a good move by them. And if you look at the Niners, they're also banged up as well. There was no Deebo Samuel last week. There was no George Kittle last week. There was no Christian McCaffrey last week. So, yes, the Rams did come back and win that game against the Niners, but it was against a team that was not very good. Right now, I mean, Sean, if you go look back at the last 10 years in the NFL, Matthew Stafford has been one of the most consistently good players in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's almost one of those guys where, especially in his younger days, you can almost guarantee 300 yards and a couple of touchdowns, right? That is not the guy we've seen this year. So far this year, against the Detroit Lions week 1, Matthew Stafford was 34 for 49 for 317 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception, right? Versus Arizona week 2, he was 19 for 27 for 216 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And against San Fran last week, he was 16 for 25 for 221 yards and 1 touchdown. So far on the season, Matthew Stafford has thrown 2 touchdowns, guys. That's not great. That's not good. As a matter of fact, he has the same amount of passing touchdowns as Caleb Williams 3 weeks into his career.
I will tell you what's scary about that is they still almost beat the Lions in Detroit. They did come back against the Niners. And who they lose? Oh, they lost Arizona in the second week, right?
Yeah.
It was Arizona they played?
Yeah. And that's what I wanted to talk to you.
Slacked by Arizona, though, didn't they?
Yeah, they got destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. That game was over in the second quarter. But that's what I wanted to talk to you about, Sean. That's the difference between a smart football coach and a dumb football coach. I mean, Sean McVay clearly won that game for them last week.
Yeah.
The Rams have 2 turnovers on the season. 2 turnovers on the season. Guys, 3 weeks in the NFL, now today that it's a passing and offensive game, that's remarkable. That's absolutely amazing. I mean, the fact that they have no fumbles and only – or have 1 fumble and 1 interception 3 weeks into the season that's coaching. That's coaching. They're a very disciplined team. Sean McVay's a very good coach. Smart coaches always limit turnovers. Like I just said, guys, if you can win the turnover battle, you can win almost every game.
Yep.
But this is a different breed of defense that the Rams are playing this week, man. This is not the Cardinals. This is not the 49ers. This is not the Lions. This is the Chicago Bears, who you just said, Sean, are the 8th ranked defense in the NFL to this point. And I think they still have room to grow. I think ultimately the Bears will end up in the top 5 at some point this season. So if the Rams continue to play pedestrian the way they have, I mean, you look at Kyron Williams, his first game against Detroit, 50 yards rushing. Second game against Arizona, 25 yards rushing. Third game against San Fran, 89 yards rushing, but it took him 24 carries to get there. I mean, he has not been great as well. He's averaging 3 yards a carry exactly on the season. If these guys play like this and that Bears defense comes out and takes the ball away and gives the Bears short field, the Bears are going to win this game. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The only thing we have to worry about, like we've talked about the last 2 weeks, Sean, it's can Matt Eberflus screw this game up for the Chicago Bears? In what way, shape, or form can Matt Eberflus or Shane Waldron screw this game up for the Chicago Bears?
I will say this. I know Kyron Williams is not having his most opportune year to start as far as yards and things, but I believe the Rams have 6 touchdowns and he has 5 of them.
Yeah, he has been good at scoring touchdowns this year for sure.
So watch that guy inside the 20 because there's a good chance he's going to sniff that. He's going to sniff that end zone. I like a lot of things about this game. I mean, the way they statistically match up against this Rams club. The one thing that just scares me is it's not Steichen on the other sideline this week. Like I just said, Sean McVay, I think, is the biggest X factor in this football game. You know, he's going to, like I said, he'll take that safety, he'll slide him in the box. His second half adjustments, he may be able to come up with a plan that takes things away from the Bears. I mean, he did go into Detroit. They had Cooper Kupp for most of that game, didn't they? That first game? Or did he get hurt against Detroit?
No, he played the entire game.
He had like 15 catches or something that game.
Yeah, he had like 21 targets in that game.
Yeah, and he got hurt the next week.
He got hurt in Arizona around halftime. Yeah, they lost Puka in week 1. Yes, Puka went out with a knee in week 1. Yeah.
You know, I trust the Bears to be able to shut down Tyler Johnson and Demarcus Robinson. Tutu Atwell seems to be the guy, though. He had 4 catches for 94 yards last week, I believe.
Yeah, but once again, Sean, he wasn't playing Tyreek Stevenson and Jalen Johnson.
He's a gadget guy, though. And the Bears have had a little problem with these gadget guys with speed, especially getting to the outside. And, I mean, Tony Pollard was able to hurt them a little bit. I'm not comparing the two, obviously, 2 different positions. But this is the thing I'm talking about. He'll use Tutu Atwell out of the backfield, split him out wide, bring him around for an end around. You know, McVay is just too smart, I think. But I don't know how they're going to win this game. But that stat, the Rams have won 3 of their last 4 games as underdogs, is another thing that scares me about this Sunday.
Sean, what I try to do in life in general, and not just sports, is I try to play the odds. Now, listen,
right?
Sean McVay is an absolutely amazing coach. I'm not taking anything away from him. As a matter of fact, if Sean McVay decided to leave the Rams at the end of this year, I would love if the Bears fired Matt Eberflus and brought him here. But you can't continue to hand a carpenter a screwdriver and a wrench and ask him to build a house. I mean, eventually they need more tools, right? I mean, this is going to come back to bite the Rams in the ass at some point. You cannot keep winning games with DeMarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, and Whittington, or whatever whatever the rookie's name is. I mean, and you know what? As a matter of, you said that you're worried about Tutu Atwell. Tutu Atwell played a lot of the slot last week. Sean, if you look at the Bears secondary right now, I love Jalen Johnson. I love Tyreek Stevenson. The guy who's had the best start to the season is Kyler Gordon. I mean, there's almost no production from slot receivers at all against the Bears. As a matter of fact, Nico Collins is the one who killed them against the Texans on the outside, their number one receiver. Last week, the biggest catch in the game went to Michael Pittman, who's their number one receiver. It wasn't their slot receiver. It was Michael Pittman. The Bears are not letting slot receivers do much at all this season. So those guys, DeMarcus Robinson, and you know, I know that Whittington, I think this is how you pronounce the name, Whittington, the rookie 6th-round pick of this year.
Yeah,
I think he's winning. I think him and Tutu actually rotate in and out of the slot back and forth. This is what happens for the Rams right now. But I mean, eventually this banged up team, they're not going to go. We both know, Sean, this team's not going to go 17-0. I mean, it's or whatever, 15-2. At some point, this is going to start to bite them in the ass a little bit. I mean, this is not. It's not. The Rams are not in a good position. They have absolutely almost no talent on offense right now, excluding Kyren Williams and Matthew Stafford, and they're coming to play one of the best defenses in the NFL, who's a very opportunistic defense. They will take the ball away if you give them the chance to do so. And I think that's going to hurt the Rams badly this week.
I do think they're going to be able to get pressure on Stafford this week. And I will say this, the Bears come in as the 8th overall ranked defense. They're 21st against the run. They're allowing 121 yards a game, but they're 7th against the pass, allowing 165. And I think I don't think the run defense is anywhere an indicator of how the run defense has actually been. I think the defense has actually stepped up in moments. They did get gashed by Taylor, but you've also seen them step up in certain moments when they need to make a stop this year. They have been able to get to the
And Sean, the Rams do not have the Indianapolis Colts offensive line. That's one of the best offensive lines in football. And they do not have Jonathan Taylor. I love Kyren Williams. I think Kyren Williams is a very good player, but you look, Jonathan Taylor and Kyren Williams have very different skill sets. Jonathan Taylor will beat the crap out of you all game until you start to run out of energy. Kyren Williams is a finesse runner. He needs to get in open space, and the Bears have been very good at stopping those type of runs. I mean, it's going to be tough sledding for Kyren Williams.
I will tell you this: the one thing the Bears are not that great against, and they were not great against it last year, was pass catching running backs. Kyren Williams can catch balls out of the backfield, and I do believe Kyren Williams is going to get his opportunity. He's going to get a lot of opportunities in this game because he's their best offensive weapon that they have. They're going to turn to him early. They're going to turn to him often. If he were to get hurt in this game, I think the Rams would get blown out.
Sean, let me ask you a question real quick, because I don't know if you got a chance to see this or not. I just want to get your point of view on this. How do you feel about the Bears being favored in this game? I mean, right now they came out as favorites. Initially, the Bears are favorites to win this game.
I expected it, but right now I believe it was 3 or 3.5. 3 is what? Home field advantage.
So they're not saying the Bears are 3-point favor. It means it's just because you have home field advantage. The teams are pretty much.
It's not giving the Bears a big advantage, but I will tell you this: the way the teams stack up against each other. They want to pass. The Bears are great against the pass. Their running back maybe could do some damage. I like the way the Bears stack up against this team, especially with all their injuries. I'll tell you this right now. If they had their wide receivers, both of them, I don't know if I'm picking the Bears to win this game today, or Sunday.
No, if the Rams were completely healthy, I would be taking the Rams this game. I do think, especially in the NFL today, 2024, I do think home field advantage means a lot more now than it used to. First of all, it's statistically proven that referees call more flags against away teams. So for instance, that I believe personally that play last week where Andrew Billings picked off that pass against Anthony Richardson, and they ultimately said that Anthony Richardson forward progress has been stopped and they took the interception away. I think if that same exact play happened in Chicago with the crowd going wild and crazy, I think that they ultimately give that ball to the Chicago Bears. So my hope is that in this game, if it is a very close game and these are 50-50 matchup and it's a very close matchup, both teams are there at the end with a chance to win. I hope that something like that, a play like the refs, can help the Bears out a little bit. I mean, it seems like that's just kind of the way the NFL is going.
I will tell you this, man. If the Bears can't establish themselves. And here, we went into last week saying, let's get an identity, let's establish an identity. Would it be safe to say the Bears' identity is a passing football team now? They've evolved from a running football team, and their identity with Caleb Williams is a passing football team. Can we say that's been established?
Yeah, I mean, and you know what, Sean, with drafting Rome Odunze at 9, paying Cole Kmet as the 9th highest paid tight end in the NFL, paying DJ Moore is about the eighth highest paid wide receiver in football, and trading a 4th round pick away for Keenan Allen, and then drafting a quarterback number 1 overall. Sean, this team probably should be a passing team. I mean, that's where you've invested the most time and money. I mean, it should be a passing team. Now, I don't think it should be 28 runs to 56 passes. I don't think that's a good ratio for them. But I do think ultimately, and you know what? You also brought an offensive coordinator in here, Shane Waldron, who is known for throwing more than he runs. Now, it's not a ton. It's if you go look back at Shane Waldron overall, it's been pretty even, but he does throw the ball more than he runs it. So you knew that's what you're going to get with this guy. You knew that was going to happen. The thing that's just weird to me that's a little concerning is I fully expected the Bears to be a passing football team, especially with the add of Shane Waldron, but not this early in the season.
Correct.
I mean, you have a rookie quarterback who's struggling. He still can't read NFL defenses yet. The game's a little too fast for him. He doesn't know all the cadence. He doesn't know all the audibles. And they're letting him drop back and throw 60 times. I mean, guys, like you said at the beginning of the show, Sean, anytime a quarterback throws the ball over 50 times, it's not a good recipe for
success rate is very low.
They usually end up losing. So I do expect that to change this week, guys. I do not think that the Bears are going to throw the ball 52 times this week. I don't think it's going to happen. I think you'll see Caleb Williams somewhere around 38 pass attempts this week.
I mean, going into this game, my biggest hope, and maybe with Darnell Wright being out, this is going to be even more far-fetched, is that we can just pick up simple stunts and blitzes, block 5 on 5, and actually have somewhat of a semblance of an offense. It sounds so simple, but it's something that we haven't seen. But I do think it has gotten better. I will say that. I do think the Bears have progressively gotten better week to week. I will say that, as much as I am down on this coaching staff. When you really look at the tape, I mean, the biggest thing for me here is Braxton Jones. And I know we talked about this on Monday a little bit, but to pay attention to the fact that Braxton Jones is a problem with speed rush and bull rush, and he is not the prototypical left tackle for a drop back passer like Caleb Williams, gives you moments of worry and concern. And I hate to say this, but I have a feeling that's going to be the story on the right side this week with Matt Pryor, if he happens to be the right tackle. Karan, for me, you know, the guy's missed a year of football. He missed all of training camp. I don't feel in my heart of hearts this is the guy you want to throw into the fire in an NFL football game and say, here you go start at right tackle. I don't think that's a very smart, advantageous move for the Chicago Bears, dude. It's just me.
Well, it's not. And you know what, Sean? That's not really fair to Karan either, because, you know, if he goes out there and he lays a goose egg, he doesn't look good. I mean, he's going to get destroyed by the entire Chicago fan base. Oh, a 3rd round pick, Karan. He looks awful. I mean, like you said, Sean, the guy hasn't really had much time to practice. He didn't play in training camp due to an injury they knew they had when they were drafted him coming into the season. He didn't play in training camp. I have nothing against Karan. I'm not blaming him for anything, but I don't think he's in any position to play. If anything, what I would do, and it sucks, I know you guys Bears fans don't want to hear this, but I would end up sticking Nate Davis back at right guard. Maybe you lit a fire under his ass last week by benching him, and then you slide Matt Pryor over to right tackle. Now, what really sucks, Sean, is I earlier in the week, before I heard the news about Darnell Wright and him being banged up, when I was looking at this game, I really was thinking to myself, man, it'd be really nice to see the Bears move Caleb Williams out of the pocket to the right, behind Darnell Wright, kind of try to cap that end, put Cole Kmet over there, block the defensive end, and get Caleb Williams to his right where he's comfortable throwing the ball outside of the pocket. But man, if Darnell Wright's not in there, I don't want Caleb Williams going anywhere near that side of the line. I want him to go left every single time with Braxton Jones and Tevin Jenkins. I mean, but Sean, I agree with you. I think they have gotten better. The offensive line overall has gotten better through 3 weeks. Now it's hard to see, but you know, because they allowed 4 sacks last week. But 4 sacks is better than 7, guys. It's better than 7. And
it's a solid improvement.
Yeah. And Matt Pryor, if you guys go watch the tape of the Bears game against the Colts, Matt Pryor played a lot better than Nate Davis did against the Texans. I mean, at least in last week's game, the offensive line didn't look like they were like lost. They weren't blocking each other. They weren't blocking thin air. They were just getting beat. And you know what? We're going to have to deal with that for the rest of the season, guys, because they're just not very good. The offensive line is just, none of them are very good. The only thing that I do think will get better as the season goes on, and I don't know what's going on with it right now, but man, Tevin Jenkins is just, I don't understand it, because the guy, if you guys go back and watch last year's games, he was a top 5 guard in the NFL. When he was healthy, he was a top 5 guard in the NFL. He's mean. He's a beast. He gets off the line. He pushes people off the line of scrimmage. He's angry. It seems like he has that attitude. I think if Tevin Jenkins could somehow get back to that player, can become that player again, which I don't see there's any reason why he cannot. Then this offensive line will get a lot better, because he'll be the anchor. Every offensive line has one anchor. You know, we watched it with Jason Kelce on the Eagles for the last 10 years, and now obviously it's going to have to be Lane Johnson. But I mean, Jason Kelce set the tone, man. When he came out, he was mean. He pushed guys off. He got them off the line. He held people accountable, and people got better because of that. They need Tevin Jenkins to be that guy. They need somebody to be mean, disrespectful, smash people to the ground, jump on them, finish every block, no mercy, bang people up, bruise them up. They make it so they don't want to line up against him anymore. They need that guy. And right now, the Bears offensive line, as far as I can see, they have not had that guy this far into the season.
I really like this from Silver Steel. I hate to say it, because we probably only have the guy the rest of the season. However, as many games as he can stay healthy, I believe Keenan Allen makes a huge difference for this offense. I agree, and I think he'll make a huge impact in this game, and all points are pointing in the direction of him making his second start for the Bears this Sunday, and for him to be able to get off the line, find that soft spot, be able to turn around, get that quick release. I think that could help the offense find some flow and get going and be able to hit some more deep balls with DJ Moore and Roma Dunze. It's a great coming out party for Roma Dunze last week. Let's see if he can continue that against this poor defense. I know everyone says this. I believe this is a get-right game for the Bears. And I hate to say that, because we just talked about McVay being such a good coach. I just don't know that this defense, there's enough on their offense that our defense isn't just going to overwhelm them and be able to take that. Their skill players aren't there for me in this game. And I think that's just.
It's like I said earlier. I mean, you can't give a carpenter a screwdriver and ask him to build a house. Eventually, he needs more tools. I agree with you 100%, Sean. I mean, I think eventually this defense is going to be just overwhelmed the Rams. There's just not enough. I don't think there's enough quick outs for Matthew Stafford. I know Stafford is best at his best when he gets the ball out of his hands quickly. And with these receivers and how the Bears play press coverage, I just don't think he's going to have a chance to do that, especially with the Bears safety. The Bears safeties don't allow a lot over the top either. I mean, the Bears don't give up huge plays. It's going to be a very tough day for Matthew Stafford. Ultimately, it's going to be a game of chess between Sean McVay and Matt Eberflus. And like I said, I think the Bears are already a few moves up in this chess game. So all they have to do is not screw it up. I mean, they just don't snatch defeat from the jaws of victory like the Niners, like the Niners did against the Rams last week. The Bears did against the Colts. I mean, you go look at that Niners-Rams game last week, Sean.
That's an Eberflus special, though.
No, you go look at the Rams-Niners game last week. The Niners won the game in almost every statistical category. I mean, they were better in almost every statistical category, and they lost that game. That's a coaching loss. You can't let that stuff happen. And I do like a lot what Silver Steel said there, because I said this on the show last week. I think Keenan Allen makes a huge difference for this team. I mean, you go look at last 10 years. Keenan Allen's been one of the most consistent players in the NFL. Not only is he great at helping the quarterback get the ball out of his hands quickly, but he's also one of the best third down targets in the NFL. The guy, for some reason, is always open on third downs. That will help Caleb Williams tremendously. Sean, did you want to touch on Matt Eberflus real quick?
I did. I know Monday we got a little bit out of control with Matt Eberflus, our schedule and all this stuff. But being passionate, coming off a loss, sometimes those things happen. So I want to, first off, talk about my true feelings about Matt Eberflus, the Chicago Bears, and where I am with this staff. I'm not going to make it long. Just going to kind of get through it. We tend to want the instant gratification here in Chicago because we've spent so long in the depths of hell. And I get it. And trust me, there's nothing more for me than wanting to have a lot of victory Mondays. involved in Chicago Bears football. And I think there was a lot of focus on Matt Eberflus and Hard Knocks and making him look a lot better than what he actually was. Because when you get into the season, you start seeing some of the same coaching blunders that we've seen in the past. And when I was speaking about Ryan Poles' ills, I understand the guy pulled off the greatest trade in maybe NFL history with what he did. I just don't want some of the failures that have caused us to continue to be in this situation to be overlooked. I'm not saying I hate Ryan Poles at all, because Ryan Poles came into a situation where he had no money. He had a terrible roster. He tore it down. He built it back up. I went, 26 losses and 37 games for Eberflus. The first year they did spend losing on purpose. Most of us would like to think. So I just look at change. And when I look at a guy like Matt Eberflus last year, who lost 3 games, and now I'm going to say 4 because last week was a game I thought the Chicago Bears should have won based on the stats and statistics that came out of that ball game. We lost to the Broncos, we lost to the Lions, and we lost to the Browns. Guys, we had a 98% chance of winning each one of those games going into the fourth quarter, in which we lost. In most franchises, in most jobs, pitiful performances like that usually end in you losing your job. Number one, they wanted to stick with them because of the performance at the end of the year. And what I was saying is, if he went 10-7 again this year, I would have to say, if he went 10-7 on the shoulders of Caleb Williams being great, but this team still looks as they do, this is not a guy that should be retained. Chris Morgan is another one. Give me offensive linemen that have gained any kind of momentum in the system under his tutelage. I guess we did have a great run line. What has happened? Everything has taken a step back. That's coaching, man. When you look at our division, the Lions win games they shouldn't. Packers win games they shouldn't. Vikings win games they shouldn't. The Bears lose games that they should win. This is becoming a habit. Being unprepared, outcoached. All I'm going to say, I don't hate Ryan Poles. I did not want Eberflus retained. He is my coach. I'm going to hope that he becomes a better coach through the season. I'm just through 3 weeks not seeing very much evidence of that happening. I will say I'm a diehard Chicago Bears fan. Losses hit me hard, especially when you have expectations. We came into the season with very high expectations. I mean, there was 10, 11 wins out there from people. Guys, this don't look like a 10, 11 win team right now. My expectations have been shattered. I know it's 3 weeks. We've got plenty of time to turn it around. Let's see what happens. We're going to move on. I'm turning the page on to the Rams. Hopefully our coaching staff, our players come prepared. They're ready to win. Yet what is another winnable football game on Sunday on the Lakefront. Last thing I'm going to say is we did have a little, what were we going to do in our predictions for the Bears. I went a little off the rails, probably said some things I shouldn't have said as far as who would win, who would lose. I have the Bears beating the Rams. We'll go over that. I have my final 24-17 Chicago. I have them beating the Panthers. I have them beating the Jaguars. That leads us into the bye. I have us losing in Washington, losing in Arizona, beating the Patriots, and then we play that team up north, which at this moment in juncture, I'm going to say will be a loss, and that after 10 games would have me and the Chicago Bears at a 5-5 record. Kyle, I digress.
I mean, Sean, there's nothing wrong with being passionate. We're obviously true Bears fans. We love sports. We've dedicated all this time and effort to sports. I mean, people should be held accountable. There's merit to everything you said. I mean, there's absolutely no reason the Bears should have lost those 3 games last year going into the fourth quarter with the lead. There's no reason they should have lost Sunday. The only thing I'll say about Sunday is new quarterback, new running back, new receivers, new offensive coordinator, kind of a new offensive lineman. I mean, the defense looks like they are picking up where they left off last year. The offense does not. And the reason being is, A, the offense never really showed any form of consistency last year anyway. And B, they're all new. So, I mean, we knew there was going to be some growing pains. We talked about this before the season started. But, Sean, I have no problem with you coming out here and saying that Matt Eberflus has not been a good coach this far, because all you got to do is look at the numbers, right? I mean, he's not a winning football coach. So far at this point in his career, he's not. And you know what? As bad as Justin Fields played at times here, he should have won those three games last year. There's no reason why the Bears should not have won those 3 games last year. And there's no reason the Bears couldn't win the game on Sunday. And Sean, you were talking earlier about how, you look at like, for instance, look at Justin Fields in Pittsburgh. I mean, Justin Fields, if you go look at the numbers, digging in the numbers, he looks pretty much like the same quarterback he was in the Bears. They're just building the system and the team around him so that they can win games. You guys, the Steelers are not winning pretty by any means necessary. Those are dogfights. They're in dogfights, man. And it also helps when your defense allows 10 points, 6 points, and 10 points. You're not going to lose many games if you keep doing that.
It also helps their level of competition, which has not been the steepest.
Yeah, and I think the Pittsburgh Steelers right now probably have the best defense in the NFL. So Justin Fields has got a lot of help over there. He's also got Mike Tomlin as head coach. But I mean, you guys, you got to call for how it is, right? All you can do is judge and critique the things that have been put in front of you. And so far, Matt Eberflus has not been a good football coach. He just hasn't. He's a good defensive coordinator. The defense shows up every week. They look like they're motivated. They look like they bought into his principle. They continue to play well. But as a head football coach, as a leader of men, as a leader of the coaching staff, the players, everything down to every fine detail, right now, Matt Eberflus has not been good. And there's nothing wrong with you saying that, Sean. That doesn't mean you hate the guy. You don't know him. It's not like you guys are hanging out on Sundays. He's not doing his job. He's not doing a good job. And what scares me is I think this organization had somehow instilled a losing culture after Lovie Smith left here. They've been one of the worst teams in the NFL. They've been actually kind of the laughing stock of the league. And I was hoping that this year they'd kind of start to steer away from that and kind of change the culture a little bit. But right now, Sean, you're right. They look like the bad news Bears. They look like the Bears who do everything wrong and get in their own way and trip over their own feet and lose games. But the only thing I can say about that, guys, is we're 3 weeks into the season, so there's still plenty of time to turn this thing around. And you know what? If you look at Shane Waldron and you exclude the third down conversion rate, which is kind of odd and disappointing to me that he's been so low in the NFL rankings. But besides that, Shane Waldron has been successful pretty much his entire career. So I'm certainly not going to let the jury come out after 3 days. I'd like to see him with Caleb Williams. I'd like to see him with DeAndre Swift, Keenan Allen. I mean, these are all new tools for him. He's kind of feeling out the offense, feeling out what he can do, what he can't do, what these guys are capable of doing, what they're not capable of doing. And I'm going to give him a long leash. Fortunately for me, as I came into this season saying they would ultimately end the first 10 games at 6-4 or 5-5, somewhere around there because of the rookie struggles. So to me, looks exactly pretty much what I expected. But I agree with you, Sean. I mean, right now, if you ask me to critique Matt Eberflus's career on the Chicago Bears, it's not good. I mean, it's a D-. It's not good. It's not good. And there's nothing wrong with you saying that. That's just being smart.
I had the Bears at 7-3 in these first 10, and that was just based on the rookie quarterbacks and the bad teams that we were playing. And technically, we should be 2-1. I mean, in all honesty, Houston tried to give their game away. We could be 3-0. And I posed this question to you guys: if LaFleur or O'Connell was our coach in either of those 2 games, would the Bears be 3-0 right now? And this is a question we don't need to answer, but Ryan Poles does. Hey man, you gotta find sometimes, and I can take the Cardinals GM. Oh God, who was that bum they drafted? They drafted a quarterback. God, who was that bum? They drafted the year before Kyler Murray. He had 1 year in the league, and they were like, yeah, this guy sucks. And they drafted Kyler Murray the next year.
Drew Rosen?
Something like that. I can't remember his
Rosen?
name.
Yeah, it was Rosen. Josh Rosen.
Yeah, and they were like, this guy sucks. And they went and drafted. That's a GM. Hey, we drafted this guy. We made a mistake. You have to admit your mistakes, man. People make mistakes. I make mistakes at my job. Kyle, I'm sure you make mistakes at your job. It happens. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. That's how you get better. I'm just, as a Bears fan, and I know there's a lot of Bears fans out there, that you read Josh Rosen. Thank you, Bruce. You read the same book, and I look like, and we talked about this the other day, Kyle, and you brought up a very good point. I said, I feel like I'm opening the book. I'm reading the same chapters, but as I get into chapter 2 or 3 now, I'm going to have a new star. So I'm going to keep optimism. I will say Monday emotions were very high. I was upset again at the pitiful performance from my boys in Chicago. I'm going to try and keep it more in check. And I just want to say, as we knew that Shane Waldron is one of the worst coaches, offensive coordinators on third downs. Coming into this game, the Rams are the 31st ranked defense on third down. They better get some damn third downs this game. That's all I'm gonna say.
Sean, before you move on, there's one thing I want to touch on. It has everything to do with what you just said. I am not as low on Matt Eberflus as everybody else. I don't think Matt Eberflus deserves to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears, but I do think there is potential that they could turn this thing around. And eventually, what it would be is basically like we have two head coaches. I don't think Matt Eberflus has very much to do with the offense. I think that's all Shane Waldron. I think Eberflus just kind of runs the defense. Obviously, he's calling plays for the defense, which most head coaches do not do. They let the defense coordinator run the show. But man, I will say I am very, very disappointed in Matt Eberflus's press conferences. I mean, I've never heard him take accountability. I've never heard, you see coaches in the NFL. I think Dan Campbell said it last week. That loss is on me. That loss right there was on me. That was my fault. I did not put my guys in a good position. I did not put them in a position to win. We should have won that game. That one's on me. I've never heard Matt Eberflus say anything like that. And to me, that's very concerning because Lovey said it. We've had Bears coaches. Mark Trestman said it. I mean, even the coaches that were here we didn't like have taken accountability from time to time. And one thing I don't ever want to see a coach do ever, even if it's 100% true and factual, is to throw his players under the bus. And there's been times where Matt Eberflus sounds almost like he's doing that. Like, these guys just got to get better at blocking. Yeah, Caleb can't make that pass across the field. Well, he put him in that position to make that throw, Matt. Who put him in the position? He's dropped back 52 times. Some of them weren't going to look pretty. You throw the ball 52 times, some of them are not going to look pretty. You're going to some of them are going to be tipped. There's going to be bad situations, especially for a rookie quarterback who's just concerned about not getting his head knocked off and has now been sacked 11 times in the last 2 games. I mean, you can't let him drop back 60 times. So Sean, the 100%, this coaching staff should take responsibility for the way the Bears played this far of the season. Now, like I said, you guys, all I can do is be a Bears fan and be optimistic. I think eventually they're going to get this thing turned around. But I think Caleb Williams is going to be a big part of that. And he's almost going to be, I guess you'd say, scheme proof, or he won't let his coaching deficiencies lose them games. He'll put this team on his shoulders and he'll carry him to victories. And I think that's coming soon because if you look at the second half of that game last week, he looked very, very good. And I think this is. You talk about maybe I hate to use this phrase, but get right game. I mean, man, Caleb Williams, if you went up to Caleb Williams right now and said, hey, if there's any team in the NFL right now you'd like to play, who would it be? I would say this Rams secondary all day, every day. I mean, they're not good, man. And now you're going to go up against Keenan Allen. It sounds like he's going to be back this Sunday. Yep. Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, and Cole Kmet. There is no reason the Bears should not move the ball up and down the field on Sunday, guys. And they're at home. Teams always play better at home. The Bears are just as guilty of that as any other team in the NFL. They always look better at home than they do on the road. So there is absolutely no reason why the Bears cannot win this game on Sunday, guys.
I agree with Silver Steel right here too. You just gotta get better. His responses for everything.
Hey, Matt, how can you tell us how you're going to get better there? Like, how are you going to get better there? Like I always loved Drew Brees as a player, but I never loved any of his press conferences. I hated that one game at a time. You just got to focus on the week ahead of you. I hate that. I don't like hearing that stuff. I love when players are genuine and you get genuine answers. Like, how we're going to fix this. Like for instance, Nico Warner's one of the Cubs shortstop or second baseman is on the 670 The Score all the time. And man, there's always so much information you can pull from those interviews. I mean, you hear that last week. He was like, they were like, you've gotten a lot better as a hitter, and you've gotten a lot of hits lately. He's like, yeah, but none of them are timely. There's none with runners in scoring position. I'm not happy with myself just because my average is going up or I'm hitting 300 for the last 2 weeks. That doesn't make me proud. I want to have an impact on this team. I want to score runs. I want us to win games. That's my goal. Like, that's the type of stuff you want to hear from your players, especially when you have so much invested into these teams as Chicago sports fans. I mean, Sean, we've spent an ungodly amount of money going to these Bears games. We've spent a godly amount of time on these podcasts and talking about the Bears. We just want to be rewarded, guys. That's it. We've been diehard fans my whole life. I've been a diehard Bears fan. I just like to see some success and a winning culture for once. But now we got all that stuff out of the way, guys. Let's move on.
I'll just say this, Kyle, before we check out, and it's an old saying, and without any accountability, there will never be change. And until there's some accountability in the Chicago Bears management team, there won't be change on this roster. And this is why I don't have a lot of faith in this turning around. I mean, here, I told you the other day, I was blown away when the Rams beat, or not the Rams, the Bucks beat the Lions. The first thing Dan Campbell said in that press conference, this loss is on me, guys, not on the players. I was like, that's a head coach right there, man. Mm-hmm. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah. You know what? And Sean, if you think you're perfect, you'll never get better. That's the thing.
Correct.
You never get better. You have to evaluate yourself. You have to find your weaknesses and you have to improve them. And it doesn't sound like Matt's doing that. Now, you guys, we could definitely get back to this conversation come season's end when the Bears are either, who knows, maybe they're 11-6, maybe they're 2-15, and we can touch on this conversation. Although if the Bears are 2-14, 2-15, we don't even have to have this conversation because Matt Eberflus will have been fired already, guys. I promise you that he will not make it through the season if it doesn't start winning football games here soon. Sean, what do you want to move on to here?
Guys, we're gonna get on to some fantasy, a little some props, and guys, we're gonna start off. We did okay last week. It was our first bad week, but I think the NFL was a little goofy this past week. So I'm gonna say my smash play worked out because I told you guys to smash bet slam on Jamar Chase. And we're going to go down that route here again in just a little bit, my friends.
Hey, guys, also, our sit of the week did play out. James Conner did not have a good game. He was our sit of the week. But I do want to say to all you guys out there, this fantasy football is tough. You guys all know that, especially for the first 3 weeks of the season have been a catastrophe. It's up and down all over the place. I mean, the Bengals are 1-3. The Patriots look like a decent football team. The Vikings look like the best team in football. I mean, there's stuff you don't expect. Fantasy's the same way. All you can do is play the matchups. Sometimes they don't work out. Sometimes they do. But hopefully we'll have a better go this week, guys. So let's get into our first. Let's do Sean's smash play.
I know we've talked about this, and Kyle, we talked about this last night actually. Guys, I'm just gonna say this: Braylon Allen is a sensational young rookie. He's looked great for 3 weeks. But ladies and gentlemen, if you think Breece Hall is going anywhere, you're suffering from mental illness. That's all I can say. This guy right now is on base for 261 carries, 963 yards, 91 receptions, 680 yards, 17 touchdowns, on pace for 357 fantasy points. That's 34 fewer than CMC had last year. I think Braylon Allen being there helps him stay fresh. I think there's going to be a point in this season where you can start both of them. I think that might be coming pretty soon. But Breece Hall is him, guys. I mean, if I'm wrong, Kyle, you can stop me. You can tell me. But Breece Hall is one of the best running backs, playmakers in this league.
Not only that, Sean, but not only is he him, but if he continues to do what he's doing, his projections are about 970 rushing yards. He's going to get over 1,000. I mean, Breece Hall is an absolute beast, guys. He looks exactly like he did in college. This is why he was a running back drafted in the first round. That's very rare. They're usually running backs drafted in the first round is because they're special. They're special talents, and they're going to be good in the NFL for a long time. And Breece Hall looks the part, guys. I know he had that injury. Everybody has injuries. It sucks. People tend to forget guys when they're coming off ACLs and stuff like that. But man, if I had the first pick in the draft or second pick in the draft, Breece Hall definitely would have been a consideration for me, no doubt about it. Yeah, I love the guy.
I'll stack one more on top of it. So far this year in snaps, it's 52-23, routes 26-8, opportunities are a little bit closer at 21-14. And like I said, this could become a Gibbs-Monty thing. But when it comes down to it, I think it will be Breece Hall over Braylon Allen.
And you guys, and they're both going to continue to get touchdowns because, Braylon Allen might get the goal line first in inches on the goal line touchdown, but they're at 3rd and 6, and they're at the 6-yard line, 3rd and goal. Then Breece Hall's going to be on the field because they want you to think they're going to pass the ball. So if ultimately Breece Hall
will play every 3rd down in this offense. Yes, I have 0 down.
Especially 3rd and long.
Yes, he's an explosive pass catcher out of the backfield, man. I just had to get that off my chest because I'm reading so much on the internet this week. I'm like, oh my God, I want to slap everybody in the face.
Yeah, Sean, I think it's fair to say that we're not taking anything away from Braylon. Braylon Allen is going to be a good player in the NFL as well. I saw this guy post on Instagram today. It made me laugh for a second. They were like, for 30 minutes before they cut him, the Green Bay Packers had the best 1-2 punch in NFL history with Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs. I'm like, you think that's the best 1-2 punch in NFL history? Aaron Jones and Josh. I would take Breece Hall and Braylon Allen over those two right now today. And Braylon Allen's only played 3 games in the NFL, and I would still take those two over them.
I would take Monty and Gibbs, man.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Monty and Gibbs are the best 1-2 punch in the NFL. I think if you could quantify or define what thunder and lightning looks like in the NFL, like what you get that guy open space and you get that guy who pounds the ball up the middle. I think David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are the closest thing you can get to defining those roles in the
What up,
NFL,
Lauren?
and they use them perfectly. Yeah. What's up, Lauren? What's up, Sean? What's up, Bruce? Everybody, we appreciate you guys. Liz, we appreciate you guys watching. Without you guys, there is no us. Sean, let's get into your fantasy smash start.
Oh, guys, I took him number 7th overall.
I knew you're going. I know you're going with this.
And last week it was 6 for 118 and 2 touchdowns. The week before that it was 8 for 78 and 2 touchdowns. The week before that it was 5 for 61 and 2 touchdowns. Guys, it's Maserati Marv week, baby. Let's go. Fire up Marvin Harrison versus the Arizona Cardinals. Don't think about it. I'm telling you, I have already smashed his props that have come out because they came out early. Dude, yes, let's go. Kyle, really quick, before we get back to this, we have to return because we didn't give our Bears predictions.
Well, Sean, we can do that. We can do that at the end of the show.
All right, do it at the end. All right, sounds good.
You know what, guys? You guys are going to see that Sean and I, we promise we don't talk about this stuff before the show. We come into this fresh. I don't know who Sean's starts are. I don't know who Sean's sits are. And you're going to know right now because my smash start of the week is Marvin Harrison Jr. against the Washington Commanders. You guys, last week, people were like, oh, the Commanders just beat the Bengals. Well, yeah, they did so with Jamar Chase having 6 catches for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns against them. Marvin Harrison is he's going to be every good as a player as Jamar Chase is. He's going to be one of the best receivers in the NFL for a very long time. Marvin Harrison's going to go off against the Washington Commanders. Even if the Cardinals lose, he's still going to get his, and I would smash all of his bets on FanDuel and DraftKings as well. I don't care if it's over 65, 60. I don't know what it's going to be, but smash the over, and I would take him as an anytime touchdown score as well. Man, Marvin Harrison looks like the more comfortable he gets in this league, he's going to be a dangerous player for a very long time. That was the right pick for the Arizona Cardinals.
I'm going to tell you this too, man. I don't care if they bracket cover him. I don't care if they double team him. They tried that with Jamar Chase this weekend. It didn't work, or on Monday night. It didn't work out so well. That secondary is atrocious. Feel comfortable. And if I'm wrong, I don't know, man. I'll do something for you guys next week. I don't know, but I don't think I'm going to be wrong on this one.
Sean, can I do do you have more stardoms for wide receivers, or did you just do the one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got a few.
I only did one for receivers stardom, so let's hear the rest of your stardoms, and I'll do my sit-em of the week before you get into the
Here's my top 10. I'm going to put them on the bottom. And guys, this is just weekly. This is not season long. It's just this week where I think there's some tough matchups for some top receivers this week. But I'm going back to the well because this guy for 3 weeks in a row has hit this prop for me, and I've won money on it 3 weeks in a row. And I cannot believe that Vegas is not raising this and making this higher. I know it'll miss 1 week this year. This is one of 2 in which I have played 3 weeks in a row and hit 3 weeks in a row. This is going to be Nico Collins over 72.5 receiving yards. He's playing Jacksonville. They've given up the 3rd most passing yards per game at 252. In all 3 games, a receiver 86, 135, 117. Dude, Nico Collins can't be stopped. I'm telling you, 4 weeks in a row, they've had his prop at 70. It went up 2 yards from last week to 72.5. Nico Collins, smash that boy.
Well, and I think there's a very good chance, guys, that Nico Collins ends up as a top 3 to 5 wide receiver in fantasy this year. I mean, that guy is absolutely unstoppable. You know, we talked about on the show or on the CSP podcast, Sean and I were talking about who would you take. This was early on in the offseason, guys, like Tank Dell and Nico Collins. Man, that conversation's over. I mean, and I like Tank Dell a lot. But Nico Collins is a beast.
Here, I will tell you this, too. I'm going to go to the well on Thursday Night Football. I'm going to give you guys 3 Thursday Night Football overs, smash plays, and bets because I've already laid these down for tomorrow. I got Daniel Jones over 29.5 rushing. Over 29.5 rushing yards. You can get that at FanDuel at minus 113. At DK, it's at minus 110 right now. But Jones has hit this number in, let's see, what did I write down here? Oh, Lamar had 87. Watson had 39. Dallas has given up 40-plus in 2 straight games to wide receivers or to rushing quarterbacks. Daniel Jones over 29.5. Let's stay in that exact same game. I'm going to take CeeDee Lamb, who publicly came out and apologized to his team for being so bad. in that game last week. I think he's going to bounce back and he's going to light up the Giants this week. The last one I have in that, because I think it's going to be a big game for Dak, Jalen Tolbert, over 29.5 receiving yards. Ladies and gentlemen, the last 2 weeks, he's got 14 catches, 14 targets, 124 yards on those targets and a touchdown. They're looking at him. Dak is looking at him, getting the ball to him. And in case you guys aren't watching Dallas, he's slowly sliding into that number 2 role in that Dallas wide receiver core. Jalen Tolbert over 29.5, CeeDee Lamb over 79.5, Daniel Jones over 29.5 rushing yards. Those I got for Thursday night football.
Yeah, guys, real quick, I want to comment on this guy's, the ghost of Judah Tribe's comments on here. He says, don't start any Bears receivers. You guys, if you have DJ Moore on your fantasy team, start him every single week, and especially against the 31st ranked secondary in the NFL. I don't know if he's doing this to be like facetious or if he's doing this because Keenan Allen's coming back and they're going to split the targets 3 ways, but always start DJ Moore in your fantasy lineup. You're going to have up and down weeks from Keenan Allen. You're going to have up and down weeks from Rome Odunze. There's no question about that, especially Rome Odunze being a rookie. But DJ Moore should be in your lineup every single week, and he's going to be one of the top. Sean, don't even the other comments not even worth. All right, so real quick, guys, the situm. I want my situm of the week for fantasy, and I know it's tough to eat this one, guys, because they're going to be, you probably drafted him in either the first or the second round, but man, Garrett Wilson versus Denver is not good, guys. I mean, so far, Garrett Wilson is the number 1 receiver for the New York Jets. That means he will be matched up against Patrick Surtain this week. Surtain has now held DK Metcalf, Mike Evans, and George Pickens, all 3 of them, to under 30 yards in the game. They also, the highest Pro Football Focus rated defensive player in the NFL this year is, his name, excuse me, guys, but is this the second cornerback on the Denver Broncos this year, who actually has a higher Pro Football Focus grade this year than Patrick Surtain. So do not mess with that Denver secondary. Not only are they really good, but they looked really good against the Buccaneers last week. Man, the Bucs could not move the ball this day. I think they ended up with 7 points. That Denver defense is scary. We knew at some point Sean Payton was going to get that team playing well. It went a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be. I would not start anybody against that Denver defense until they prove otherwise. Now, here's one thing I will say about Garrett Wilson. I don't think there's a chance in hell he ends up with 80, 90, 100 yards this week, but I would not be surprised at all if the Jets score 14 points if he gets one of those touchdowns, because Garrett Wilson is very good in the short yardage area near the goal line. I mean, we saw it last week. We saw it a couple of times last year with Zach Wilson. That guy gets open in the end zone. The problem is if you start him and you're touchdown dependent, it's a 50-50 shot, guys. So, I mean, if you have 3 receivers that you think are just as good or better than Garrett Wilson, somewhere around that level, I would start all of them over Garrett Wilson this week.
And Kyle stole my sit of the week, Garrett Wilson. Just so we're all clear, those 3 receivers combined averaged 4.7 fantasy points per game. The other 2 weeks, 18.9 fantasy points per game. Don't start anyone. We call it the Surtain effect. Stay away from people going up against Patrick Surtain, dude.
No, do you know the other corners? What's the other corner's name? Why is his name?
It's on my brain. It's on the tip of my tongue.
He's having an absolute tremendous. He's probably learning from Patrick Surtain and listening to, soaking up every single word he says like a sponge. And he's been absolutely amazing this year as well. That Denver Broncos secondary right now, for me personally, is the only secondary in the NFL I would rank above the Bears. I mean, they're impossible to throw the ball. I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
I'll pound it over to QBs really quick. I threw my top 10 that I'm feeling this week.
Well, before you do your top 10, just do your one stardom, because I'm going to do one too, and I don't want you to put my stardom in the top 10.
Well, I have 2 quarterbacks. I have a sleeper quarterback this week, but I'm not. This isn't going to be like, oh, big secret. I'm giving you something you shouldn't know. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm starting Josh Allen as my smash quarterback of the week, and I'm going to tell you why. This guy's coming off one of his best games of his career, which is almost hard to say because the guy's had a tremendous career. 263, 4 touchdowns, a 98.3 quarterback rating. Dude, the Ravens are giving up 291.
He had those 4 touchdowns in one half.
In one half, yeah.
I mean, you guys, Josh Allen, we had this conversation on the podcast before the season started. Josh Allen is QB1 in fantasy, every single year for the rest of the time that Josh Allen was in the NFL. Yeah. I mean, every time people kept saying to me, well, he lost a lot of his weapons with Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs on their way out. You guys, it doesn't matter. Josh Allen's a football player. He loves scoring touchdowns. He's going to continue to do so for the rest of his career. Sean, how many touchdowns does he have on the season? We're in week 3.
I think he only had what was that Thursday night game against the Dolphins? He only had 1 because what's his nuts took them all. James Cook, he had 3.
Yeah, but and you know what? They didn't have to even play in the second half of that game. They didn't even have to show up. So, but the first game didn't he have 2 rushing and 2 passing?
Yeah, he had 4. I think he's got like 9 or 10 touchdowns on the league.
So I think he's got 9 touchdowns already. You guys, it's been 3 weeks into the season. He's averaging 3 touchdowns a week, and the rushing touchdowns in most leagues are worth more. So Josh Allen is always going to be fantasy quarterback number 1 always, and he's just proving it again for us again.
And
the guy is absolutely a stud.
Last week, Dak Prescott threw for 379 on this Ravens secondary. I'm going to give you one more because I don't know if people realize this or not, but this gentleman, and I just want to put this down because I don't want to screw this up. In his 2 years on the Dolphins now, Khalil Shakur has a 90% catch rate, dude. Do you guys realize he's 100% perfect on the year? He's caught every pass thrown his way this year.
Sorry, I think Sean misspoke there, guys. You're talking about the Bills?
The Bills, yeah.
Sorry, he said Dolphins, guys. He's talking about the Bills.
Sorry. Yes, that would be him. The next highest qualifier is at 76%. Dude, he's averaging 13.2 yards per target. The next closest is Nico Collins at 11.9, Ayuk at 11.7, and Justin Jefferson at 11.1. I mean, Khalil Shakur is absolutely on fire. He's a
Sorry, guys. Looks like Sean's having some internet problems. Yeah, I agree with Sean, though. Khalil Shakur has been absolutely phenomenal for the Bills this year. And he's also – I think if he may not be as good as Stephon Diggs in terms of skill set, but I think Khalil Shakur is better for Josh Allen in that offense than Stephon Diggs was. I think he's better in the slot, and he's open more often than Stephon Diggs was. It's not like Josh Allen has to throw him the ball 80 yards downfield every time he wants to hit him. The guy is always there. He's a security blanket for Josh Allen, and he's going to continue to be good for that team. And I think he's only going to get better. I actually like Khalil Shakur a lot. I think he's going to sneak into fantasy top 10 wide receivers as well. And I know that sounds crazy saying that, but he has been awesome this year. Yeah, you're back. Yeah, you're back. Cool. You guys, real quick, before Sean steals some of my thunder. My start of the week for quarterbacks, and I mean, when I say start, I mean I am with confidence, is CJ Stroud versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, guys, we just talked about Josh Allen had 4 touchdowns in the first half last week. That would have been against a team called the Jacksonville Jaguars, which CJ Stroud is now going to play. Not only that, but it's very similar to what you were just talking about, Sean, where CeeDee Lamb came out and said, hey, sorry, guys, I had a back. CJ Stroud did the same thing against the Minnesota Vikings, came out and said that game was on me. I did not play well. I did not move the ball enough. I did not focus on Nico Collins enough. I have to give him the ball more often. I have to get the ball in my playmakers' hands. I think CJ Stroud's upset about that game last week. I think he looked really bad last week, and I think he's going to come out with a vengeance, and he's going to do it against the Jacksonville team that looks like they don't even want to play football anymore. To be honest with you guys, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars have already dialed it in. I think they've already turned it in. I think they're going to end up firing Doug Peterson before the season ends. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Jacksonville comes out and loses big in this game and they start the season 0-4. I fully expect Doug Peterson to be fired on Monday. 100%. I expect him to be fired on Monday. I mean, this is the worst, most disastrous start the Jacksonville Jaguars possibly could have had. If I don't know about you, Sean, but I picked Jacksonville to be a fringe playoff team before this year. I thought this team was going to dial it in and get back to where they were a couple of years ago when they almost made it to a Super Bowl. They're getting worse. They're getting worse every year. They're getting worse. And they were like, oh, we didn't need the receiver they got rid of. They were
Tyler
Kelvin.
Ridley.
We didn't need him. We'll bring in Brian Thomas. Guys, they look like they made every wrong move possible coming into the season because they are the worst.
You know what's really crazy about that though? There's a lot of talent on that squad, man.
Yeah, I mean I think it's time to start talking about Trevor Lawrence, Sean. We can have a long conversation about that.
Oh, we can have a long conversation about that bum.
You guys, sorry, but if you had to ask me today, if you put a gun to my head, he is not the guy, guys. He is not the guy. My sit-em of the week for quarterbacks, guys, it doesn't matter which one of them's playing. It doesn't matter if it's Malik Willis or Jordan Love. I am not playing until somebody proves me otherwise. I've been fooled 3 times in the NFL season already. I'm not playing anybody, any quarterback or running back against the Minnesota Vikings for the rest of the year until somebody proves to me otherwise, because that defense has been absolutely amazing. I mean, they have been absolutely incredible this year. They are shutting down everybody. They're not just shutting people down. They made C.J. Stroud look like a rookie last week. He did not play well. I mean, they picked him. Sean, did they pick him off twice? I think they picked him off twice. I mean, he did not look good. So whether it's
nightmarish game, dude.
yeah, whether it's Malik Willis or Jordan Love, do not start them against the Minnesota Vikings. If you have anybody else on your roster, start them over both those guys. That is not a good situation for anybody to go in. Minnesota Vikings defense has been absolutely incredible, guys. Incredible.
I'll give you my sit-em, and I don't know how many people are starting them, but it's going to be Aaron Rodgers for the same reason that we just talked about. I don't see this as a big receiving game. I do see Braylon Allen and Brees Edwards being absolute animals in this, or Brees Hall, being absolute animals in this game, and maybe even catching some short dump-offs out of the backfield. I just, like we just touched on a little bit ago, you just don't see this team giving up bulk passing yards. They're not being beat over the top. They're not really being beat in the middle of the field either. I mean, you cannot pass on the Denver Broncos. So I'm going to sit Aaron Rodgers. And if you happen to have this quarterback on your team, we watched him throw for 330 last week. That's right. The Red Rifle is back, baby. Pew, pew, pew. I'm going to take the Red Rifle in a revenge match at home versus the Bengals. My friends, the Bengals have the 5th worst defensive line. They just gave up 75 to Rice, 100 to McLaurin. So you know what I'm telling you? Start the guy who got 37% of the target share, Deontay Johnson, over 59 receiving yards. The Bengals have given up on this to every receiver, every number 1 receiver they faced this year. And last week's 37% target share is what Johnson's going to get. Dude, he's going to sail past 59 yards.
Even better for him is I believe Adam Thielen was put on IR, so he's going to be out for a while. So yeah, Deontay Johnson's about to get more targets than he did last week, and he looks good. He looks really. I've never had a problem with Deontay Johnson. I think the talent was never in question. I think when he was in Pittsburgh, for some reason it was a question of effort, and I don't know why. Because by all accounts, everybody loves playing for Mike Tomlin, but for some reason Deontay Johnson just was not happy. It was probably the quarterback play really that made him so unhappy there. But yeah, he was not. He looks a lot better this year. I like that bet a lot, Sean. Do they have his over under out yet?
It was at 59.5, and that was on
guys, that's
MGM.
a gimme. That's a gimme, guys.
Or not MGM.
Yeah, MGM's usually the first. MGM. Yeah, they're usually the first ones to come out. They're the ones who came out with the Bears Rams line first.
Let me see if anything's out on DK yet.
Sean, you want to switch over to running backs for fantasy, or do you got anything more for us on the?
Yeah, you know what? I really didn't have any. I didn't have any smash plays for running backs. I mean, I'll tell you what I am going to do. I mean, if you guys want to know, 3 weeks in a row, I've taken James Cook over 80 rushing and receiving, and he smashed it 3 weeks in a row. Now, I will tell you this, because of that big lead that they had against the sucky Jacksonville Jaguars. So I took him at 86.5 this week. I think he finished at 87. So I barely won by the skin of my teeth, but that was game script.
Doesn't matter.
And I hate to say it, when we talk about these over and unders, especially when it comes to running backs, sometimes the game script goes awry and you don't get the payoff. I mean, and that sucks, because that's what happened to me with Josh Allen when Tua got hurt. Because if Tua gets hurt, I guarantee against the Dolphins are going to score some points, and he's not sitting on the bench, and he's not getting me 12 fantasy points.
Well, and you also would have got the over in that game because they were about to score. The Tua had them down at like the 10-yard line, and then he got knocked out, and then Skylar Thompson went backwards. And I think they were down by so much they went for the touchdown and turned the ball over on 4th down. I think there's 100% no doubt in my mind that if Tua Tagovailoa never gets knocked out, they get the over on that game. They were almost there. I think they were like 6-7 points shy at that point. Yeah, it's weird. Game script for the Bills in particular, game script has been real weird. By the second half, the Bills can basically just bench everybody.
I don't know if that comes up. I don't think that comes up.
I can't really see it. Can't really. Oh, yeah, there it is.
There it is. That's that Cook. I had Jamar Chase, and the biggest, easiest bet of the year on Monday night, they had Chase Brown, 25 rushing yards. I was like, dude, I should have put $1,000 on that. Guys, Zach Moss is good. Chase Brown is way better. And at some point, the Bengals are going to realize this. That guy is explosive. He can cut. He's a power runner. He can catch. He sees the angles. He's so legit. I don't even understand. Look, Zach Moss again. He's a good NFL football player. I think Chase Brown could be a superstar, dude.
Yeah, Chase Brown's awesome, and we all got a close look at him in Illinois, and I think most Illinois fans knew he was going to be good in the NFL, and he's been great this year. And you know what? There's a reason they drafted him last year. Just stop the Zach Moss. I hate when teams continue to play players more because they pay them more rather than playing the guys who give them the best chance to win. Yeah. I think that with the Bengals in the position they're in, 0-3, they need to start making some changes pretty quickly. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if Chase Brown ends up being their starting running back next week. For my
I was going to say, give me yours. I'm going to go in DK and see if I can find anything on running backs really quick.
My stardom of the week, guys, this week, and the reason I'm saying this is because I wasn't very confident in this guy coming into the season, but Tony Pollard versus the Miami Dolphins is a great start for this guy. Because you guys know I try to give you guys starts that aren't obvious. Obviously you're going to start guys like Breece Hall, Saquon Barkley, but I want to give you guys where you're like, maybe he's on my bench. Do I put him in? Do I flex him? Do I not? Tony Pollard is playing Miami this week. Miami, who's probably going to be without Tua Tagovailoa again. So they're kind of pretty much given up on games earlier. I mean, they lost last week. I think they scored 3 points. They got crushed last week. Last week, the Seahawks beat them badly, and Zach Charbonnet was part of the reason why. Last week, Zach Charbonnet against the Miami Dolphins had 18 rushes for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that's not even good. I didn't even include his receiving yards, guys. He had a huge game against Miami last week. He was great. He was a fantasy league week winner. And I think Tony Pollard is capable of doing the same thing. Now, what scares me is that Tajah Spears should at some point start getting more touches in that offense. But right now, through this point of the season, you guys, Tony Pollard's getting about 80% of the touches. So until that changes, smash start Tony Pollard versus Miami Dolphins this week. Smash him, because I think he's going to have a great game. My sit-em of the week for running backs, he's probably going to be my sit-em of the week for the rest of the year, guys. I told you to start him last week, and he burned me. Zamir White versus Cleveland this week. And the Cleveland's only 12th versus the position. They're not first, second, third, fourth, fifth. They're not one of the best teams in the NFL at stopping the run. But Zamir White is just, to me, does not look like a good football player. I don't think he's very good. And I don't think it's going to be long before Alexander Madison's getting about 90% of the touches in Oakland. Or in Vegas. You know what, Sean? I think Antonio Pierce seems like a no bullshit kind of guy to me. And I think eventually he's the type of guy that will start to bench guys and give guys more playing opportunity who are performing. And Zamir White is averaging like some abysmal 1.7 yards per carry or something like that this year. He's not been good. And, if you go look at Alexander Madison's numbers, he's not much better at rushing the ball, but he's better in open space. He's better in receiving game, and he scores touchdowns. So for me, Zamir White is 100% sit against the Cleveland Browns. 100%.
Let me get to Dano really quick. The sports betting app I like to use the most, I like DraftKings the most. MGM Grand, though, they seem to have a little bit lower odds, and they come out first. And my rule of thumb always is, man, grab them as quickly and as early. And honestly, guys, I shit you not. I'm trying to get – hold on, let this come in. They're locking me out of that Andy Dalton. I've tried to press it like 3 times. It won't come in. That's a lock that they have on there, dude. They won't let me bet that 228, man. I'm trying really hard.
Yeah, so Dan, I prefer DraftKings, but I do use FanDuel as well. The only thing I do like about FanDuel as opposed to DraftKings is I think FanDuel has better bonuses. So FanDuel will give you like 100% profit boost on certain parlays, so on and so forth. So if you can get those boosts, then make your bets on FanDuel. But if their boosts aren't good for the week, DraftKings always gives you a little bit better odds. And DraftKings is always a little bit lower too. So if FanDuel has Jamar Chase over 63.5, DraftKings sometimes will have him like 61.5. So you always want to take, obviously you want to take the lower of the two if you're going to take the over. So I do like DraftKings the best. And FanDuel's also had a
best place. I just want to let you guys know. I'm telling you, as I'm betting it, that was Deontay Johnson over 60 receiving yards, Andy Dalton over 224 passing. It's locked in a 2-teamer. I put on 50 to win 120 back. Jump on it. It's my smash of the week. I might bet it again.
Sean, so far you have been very good this year through 3 weeks of gambling. These guys, anybody who's listening to this podcast, start taking notice, man, because Sean will win you guys money if you pay attention. He's been pretty. He's I think he's
don't
right
always
now,
work out.
But, no, of course not. I think, but right now, Sean, I think you're hitting about a 70% clip right now, which is
right
absolutely
about
amazing.
there.
You continue to do that, you're going to win a lot of money, guys. A lot of money. Vernon, thanks for joining us. Dan, thanks for joining us. Bruce, as always, we love you. Sean, thank you so much, my brother. We love you. Judah Tribe, we appreciate you. We appreciate your comments. Everybody who's watching, anybody, please hit the like button, subscribe button. Try to tell people about us, guys. We're new. We're upcoming. We're going pretty quickly here. We love talking Bears. We love talking sports. So any time of the week you guys can join us, please come do.
I'm looking up that Cardinals prop right now because we're gonna bet it on the air if it's up. I don't know if it will. The 305 games usually suck.
Yeah, unfortunately, guys, because we do this show Wednesday in the middle of the week, a lot of the over-unders are not out for these particular games, especially for the later games, the 325 games, the Sunday night game, the Monday night game. We're not going to have a lot of those available to us. But if you guys pay attention to the 4-Star Chicago Sports Facebook page, Sean usually will post them on Facebook, or Sean will do a show later in the week by himself where he'll just go over his bets for the week real quick. So if you guys keep your eyes open for that, I'm telling you, if you guys continue to bet what Sean's been doing so far this year, you will have made money. You guys should have money in your FanDuel account if you continue to do what Sean does. Sean, there is one thing you wanted to say to these guys, right? About you guys, whenever Sean gives you these bets, try not to always parlay them all together, because if you miss one of them, then you lose your entire bet, guys. So what I would do is either parlay each of them individually and parlay them together, or just each of them individually. Because like you said, Sean hit on 80% of the bets this week. I think it was week 1, or week 2, but then we didn't get the over under on the Bills Dolphins game because the way the game script went. So try to bet them differently. If at worst, you guys, you should at least always make your money back if you continue to listen to what Sean's telling you guys.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, last week was probably my worst week as far as it goes, because some of these idiots, like Tampa Bay getting upset at home was a big buzzkill. That didn't work out so well. Brock Bowers over 45 receiving yards. I mean,
but Sean, Brock Bowers left a big chunk of that game. Yeah.
He did get hurt.
He left that game for a while, and there's nothing you can do about that.
You can't plan for.
You can't do anything about injuries, guys. There's no way to predict that. Now, I will say though that if for the most part, all you guys, what we're doing here is we're playing the odds, right? We're trying to find the easiest bets we can get, and sometimes game script or injuries or stuff like that, you're not going to win every bet. That's why it's called gambling. If it was that easy, everybody would do it. But even Sean last week, I think he ended up maybe 15%. It was still a really good week. You guys are still going to get your money back. So continue to listen to these bets. Like I said, he'll post them later on, either in a video or he'll just post them on the Facebook page. But Sean, what else do you got for anything else for Stardom Sims?
Really quick, Dano, if you didn't get it, I'm smashing the Deontay Johnson over 59.5 and Andy Dalton over 224. But I will tell you, I think it's already up 4 yards. I think I just got it at 228. Hold on, let me double check. I'm pretty sure that's what.
Which is good, guys. That's good, because that means the money's coming in on Andy Dalton.
No, I got him at 225. His over under is up to 228, but there's a section where you can pick different numbers that you want. I stuck to the original prop. I threw $50 on it. We'll see what happens. I think they'll be fine. Cincinnati's defense sucks.
One thing I would do, guys, is take all. Sean, do you have Marvin Harrison on there yet?
Marvin Harrison, there's only 3 people in that game: Noah Brown, Terry McLaurin, and somebody that I don't even know who was the other person.
Marvin Harrison will come out soon, guys. I'm telling you guys, for me personally, if his over is under 80 yards, I would smash it. Because I think he goes out there and destroys the Washington Commanders this week. So
I think he'll come out. I think he'll come out and man, I think he'll come out at, I'm gonna say, what is Marvin Harrison? Oh God. He's almost 2-1 to score a touchdown. So if you do want to do a parlay, throw right now. He's minus 160 to get a touchdown. Dude, throw that 160 in with his over receiving yards, dude, and try and win a little money. They're basically telling you he's going to score a touchdown. I mean, minus 160 is insane for a touchdown score. They're usually like, if they think they're going to score, like plus 100. But
Sean, who are the Ravens playing this week? I don't know. I don't have it in front of me right now.
The Ravens are playing the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night football.
Yeah, guys, I would also have no problem. I know the Buffalo Bills have actually been pretty good, especially on defense this year, but they really haven't played anybody. I would have no problem picking if you're going to do. I've talked to Sean and I've talked about this before. I am not a big fan of anytime touchdown scorers. I think they're very tough. It's kind of especially when you'll have a guy like Dalton Kincaid get you all the way down the field, and then Dawson Knox will score the touchdown. But
Zach, you're breaking my heart, man.
Ooh.
I gotta go to my fantasy team really quick because this wasn't on there earlier.
I like Derrick Henry anytime touchdown scorer, guys. Pretty much every week, honestly, guys. Derrick Henry, I expect him to end somewhere around 16, 17 touchdowns this year. So.
I'm going to my team. Does he have the dreaded cross? He has the dreaded cross.
Well, guys, obviously, if ever Sean gives you a parlay or a bet like this, and then the player ends up injured in practice or something like that, obviously you don't make that bet. And I think, Sean, if they don't play, that bet is void, right?
Yes, it'll tell you a player has to at least play. So if you do place it, they'll give you your money back. But now I'm going to watch it. And I'll be honest, I mean, this could lower his prop. Could come out and be fine. But, man, that's devastating news, man, for not only for betting, but for my fantasy team, for the love of everything holy.
Yeah, Sean, anything else you want to go over? Anything else you got for us?
Oh, man, that's all I got because, I mean, like I said, I'm looking through these games right now at, almost – what time? 7:30 at night, and there's still no props out. But you know what? That could explain why Marvin Harrison's props not out because that injury popped up. So
look at Zach said, "Sorry, Sean. It's not your fault, Zach. It's not your fault.
It's all right, Zach. I'm gonna just continue to watch my fantasy team go to the emergency room and be a.
You know what, guys? Usually when an injury pops up like this in the middle of the week and it's nothing you heard about after the game, usually those guys end up playing. So don't jump all. Don't get discouraged yet, Sean. I think he'll probably.
You know who else just popped up with the cross? Oh, fuck.
Welcome to the NFL.
Oh, dude, Bucky Irvin didn't practice with a hamstring, dude. What is happening? My whole team is falling apart.
Sean, don't draft any Bears, man. You got bad juju going on over there or something. All right, guys. I'd say it's a good time to wrap the show up. We appreciate
we're going to wrap it up, man. Don't forget, we'd like to say, hey, thank you for everybody in the chat. Lauren, Bruce, Daniel, Brandon, Zach,
Dustin,
Liz, Dustin,
Sean,
Judah. We love you all, man. The Ghost of Judah. I'm trying to Silver Steel, which is Sean. Love you guys, man. Thank you guys for being with us. We appreciate you guys more than you know, man. Thank you guys so much, man.
We'd also like to, Sean, do you want to pay a bill real quick?
Yeah, we're gonna send a shout out to Ideal Amusement. They're our newest sponsor. I'm waiting to get some graphics so we can get them up on the board and we can give them a little love. We also have River Street at 102. Is it North River Street?
Yep. North River Street in East Dundee, guys.
This weekend, guys, if you're out in the area, we got Oktoberfest going on. My Happy Ugly Face will be working, the beer tent and the working the food. I'll be all over. Kyle will be behind the bar. It's going to be a crazy fun weekend. There's all types of activities, tons of fun. Come down to Dundee. There's also a special Oktoberfest menu, guys, and I'm telling you, I'm not just saying because I work there. I think our pork schnitzel at River Street Tavern is the best pork schnitzel in town. There's a sandwich, there's a dinner. It's absolutely amazing. It's delicious. Every time people eat it, they have nothing but good things to say about it. So if you guys are in the area, you're somewhere near East Dundee or somewhere out there this weekend, go check out Oktoberfest. There's a ton of festivities. There's a ton of good food, ton of good people, music, live music. It's going to be a great time out there. Go check it out, guys. And I'm going to tell you guys this right now, and I'll clear it with the boss. And Lauren, if you're still watching, you know this is going to happen now. You guys walk up to the beer tent and tell me you're a subscriber to 4-Star Chicago Sports. I'm going to buy your first beer. And the only way you're going to get that is if you actually watch. So you come up to the beer tent, you see any one of the lovely ladies, Allison will be there, Alex, and I'm not sure who else, but one of those two lovely ladies, you say, hey, we're a subscriber to 4-Star Chicago Sports. Sean's buying my beer. They'll know you'll get that beer. Sean, is there anything else you want to add, or maybe something a Bears player may have something to say about a certain team?
Anything you want to get out there before we wrap up?
Shit, fuck Green Bay.
All right. Yeah. Let's go. That a boy.
Guys, until next week. Don't forget, though, we got to send a plug. Kyle and I are going to jump over to CSP Chicago Sports Podcast right after this. In about 1 hour, we're going to break down some Bears injuries, talk a little bit more about this Rams tilt on the Lakefront this weekend. Don't forget Dustin and Brandon. They're doing their show after Thursday Night Football. And as I said on Monday, if you guys don't stay up late, you don't burn the midnight oil, no problem. Check it out on your way to work. Check it out sometime during the day. They're kicking out some great knowledge, some great things. What you got, Kyle?
Also, thanks to Burn and Tracks High, he's part of the reason we got into this stuff. He's part of the reason 4-Star Chicago Sports exists. We're going to be on CSP tonight. Brennan and Dustin still do a Monday show on CSP. So if you guys get the chance, go check it out. Chicago Sports Podcast on YouTube and Facebook. Go check it out. We'll be on there tonight at, what is it, 9 o'clock tonight, Sean?
It is 8:30.
8:30 tonight, guys. We'll
1 hour.
Go check it out, guys.
I'm going to go see my family who I haven't seen, and then I'm going to hop back on here and talk more Bears with all you guys.
Love y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Until next week, man. Bear down. Bears going to come back. Ram Victory Monday. I'm going to be eating chicken on the show.
Bear down. Go Bears, guys.
Bear down. Oh, really quick before we get out of here, we almost left. I got the Bears 24-17. Kyle has the Bears 20-17. We're really, really close on our scores. I'm giving the Bears one extra touchdown.
Yeah, so guys, I just want to say my prediction is Bears 20, Rams 17. I am not saying this because I'm a homer because I love the Bears. I do think this is a great matchup for the Bears. I think Caleb Williams has gotten better every single week. I think this is a great opportunity for Caleb Williams playing one of the worst secondaries in football. I think the Bears start to look like an offense and start to move the ball a little bit this week. So hopefully the Bears win this week, guys. Bear down. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Without you guys, there's no us. See you guys next week.
Bear down, baby.